Okay, now we're going to be soldering on the I/O expander chip, which goes right here, the MCP23018. Note the notch is printed here. That little section corresponds to the notch right there on the chip. Because on the other side, didn't have one. Okay. So what we're going to do, the way to insert these chips is normally you insert one side first, and then you try to push and slightly bend the other one and push it flush. You want to be careful because it is delicate. So you see how I've got one side, the bottom side's in there now, and it's just kind of hanging there. I take my tweezers, which are not super sturdy. They have a little give, and I want that because I don't want to be too rough with the chip. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to push ever so slightly down until I can start getting some of these pins aligned into the hole. If you pull the chip out a little bit, it helps too. Got a couple. First one, number one in. Oh. Actually, you can see I pushed too hard on one of these pins. So just come and pull them back out. They have a little give to them, so you can go back and forth a little bit. Just don't make a habit of doing that continuously. There we go. Now it's slid in place. Then, now that the chip is in here, what I like to do so it doesn't fall out is go on the opposite side. I'll flip it over here. It's pretty snug in there. It's probably not going to fall out. But what I do is I come back and I push them the opposite way to put some pressure to keep them all from falling out. And that should be good. And then what you're going to do, or what I'm going to do, first realign this a little bit. And then I'm going to come in here and solder those joints in place. A couple things I want to push out a little more. The other thing is it adds strength to the joint. It keeps the, that one went too far. It keeps your solder joint from being the only thing holding it on the board. You get a good mechanical join by bending them. Alright. Got the fan on overhead. Shit's blowing anywhere anyway. What the hell? Alright. Let's go in and see how well these solder. See if I gotta bring in any flux. Now, since this is an IC, you definitely want to be careful with heat. You don't want to be on there too long because you don't want to damage your component here. I need to reposition my fan because that shit is still blowing in my face. Added some more solder to that other one. Still need some more solder to this one. Sometimes what happens is they will flow downward and you'll see a little solder on the top, and that's where it's going. Make sure to clean the tip from time to time. Clean tip makes better joints than a dirty tip. I don't like soldering at this angle like this. Oh, there's no pads here to solder. Because it's harder to pull away and add heat to that joint. It's actually better if I switch hands here and use my left hand to do the soldering, which is a challenge in itself. But I get a better angle with the pad and the lead. And then I try to pull away with the lead. This one could use a little more. Let me double check these real quick. I don't know why that one looks like ass. Now that brown stuff on the board is the flux. The flux burning. That's not damage to the board. That will clean off with alcohol. But I don't like to clean it right away because the alcohol is going to shock that heated surface, and I clean it later after it's cooled down, because when you shock the surface you can weaken the joint, cause premature failure of it. Alright, so the IO expander is now installed. Alright, this next step is optional, and it's to clean the signal of the chip, clean the electric signal coming from a couple pins here. We need to bridge these two pads together with solder, and then we're going to solder together the next pin with not the next hole, but the hole after. I'll show you in a minute, but first I'm going to go ahead and bridge these two, get that out of the way, and I'll show you where we're placing a capacitor. And once again, this is optional, just to clean the signal. It's not required for the keyboard to work. So, tin the iron. I'm going to have to use my left hand. Let's go in here. Pull away the solder first, then pull away your iron. Alright, those two pads are not bridged together. Okay, let's grab this happy guy. And got to remove him from his packaging. Also, these ceramic capacitors, they're not like electrolytic, they can go in either way. I'm going to have it with the numbering facing outward. So this hole and this one are the two that we need to connect. The short. Pull out, pull out. Just like that. Alright, I've gone ahead and repositioned the board to prepare for this. Let's come in and connect these joints here. Sit. forget to come back and snip off your leaves.